How are you doing?
Doing great this morning. Are we having fun?
Always. like I'm. One of the things I've been very deliberate about, and a lot of people know this about me, and I truly I live it. Um, and this comes from a Jim Collins piece, and he took it from Peter Drucker. But stop what you would not start.
Yeah.
If I get to a point where I would not start again, I just eliminate it. I kill it. It's done. Like that's it. You
Yeah.
figure out if it's going to impact others, then find somebody else who can take it over, and you pass on you pass the baton over to somebody else. But yeah, since I started doing that,
I was just going to say, I think Steve
go
Jobs
ahead.
had a similar quote in his famous graduation speech, where if you find yourself doing something for too many days in a row that sucks the life out of you, do something else.
Yeah. Right. Like, I mean, and decision making, like you sent something to me earlier today. You sent a Nancy Duarte article that was in MIT. I think MIT Sloan. The one of the cool things about it is it uses a 2x2 to help with decision making, and in this instance, it was decision making and communication. But again, and how and what method to use communicating something to someone. And that's the benefit of a tool like a 2x2. You can create leverage with the tool. If you lack the skill, I don't care what tool you have in front of you, you're going to create waste, and you're going to create problems, and you're going to need to struggle. Like you give somebody a fork, and they've never have that hand-eye coordination to be able to grab the food and pick it up in their mouth and put it in and eat. They're frustrated because they're just going to kind of like pound on things. I mean, you've seen those cartoons where they put a cork on the top of fork so that the kid doesn't stab themselves in the eye. Like we put in constraints to help save people from themselves. I think that was a
Far Side cartoon.
Was that a Far Side cartoon?
I think so.
One of the things that you do is you build skills, and then use tools to create leverage. You don't go and search for tools just for the sake of having tools. Like, yeah. So anyway.
Oh yes, but people do. But we won't.
Sometimes we should just start hitting
that rat hole.
Well, I mean, we can go anywhere.
Yeah.
What do you got on your mind today?
Today I do want to cut it short today for sure. And so I feel like we should just jump right into the news. And interestingly enough, every once in a while, Gemini decides to give me two options, an A and a B. And depending upon which one I choose, apparently it helps train the system or something to that effect. So I'm sharing my screen. And I haven't chosen yet. And I figured, well, step one this morning ought to be just hanging out with everybody, and let's have a democratic decision on which one do we like the best. So let me scroll back up to the top.
I'm going to do this just like a call for help. If anybody is really familiar with Restream and knows how to set up where you've got two hosts where someone just share without having to have somebody else say, yes, so-and-so is approved to share. Hit us up either in the comments or send it. It's one of those things. It's kind of like the rock, that little pebble when you're walking on the trail and you're like, ooh, that kind of bothers me, but everyone's in the right place where it doesn't really bother me anymore. And it's worse. I don't need to untie my shoes and pull the pebble out. This is my shoe right now, but I have not decided to stop on the trail.
Well, the feature in our list of things is two hosts. Can you have more than a multiple host live streaming system? That's really what we're asking for.
Perfect. Very clear.
Yes. And I do believe Crowdcast offers that. And I think that Ecamm allows you to make somebody a host as well. Not 100% sure on that one. And I will just throw out too, I've been looking to test Google Meet now that it will allow multiple people and you can live stream from Google Meet. So they're starting to add a lot more robust features to the Google Meet platform. So since it's free or part of my Google Pro or whatever it is I bought just so I could get Gemini, I figured I'd test it and use it out. I was hoping to use it on my workshop next Thursday. So anyways, okay, so here's two things. So we've got choice A, choice B. And I think there's a bit of a lag, by the way, while you're in Prescott, because you don't hear. It seems like you don't hear me talking for a few seconds. So we need to do the old, sort of press the button over and out, sort of walkie-talkie style conversation, I think.
I will just be quiet, and every once in a while I'll say hello. We're gonna be good. We'll be good. So let's do the A. What do we got?
Okay, so well, I mean, at first I thought it was when they first started giving these to me, I thought, oh, it's just a design thing. They're wanting to know if I like the design of it. But then I would look at them a little more closely, and it's like, oh no, it's the content. And good morning, Iqbal and Wendy. Thank you for hanging out with us this morning. But there is different content. So it's a twofer today. We get two sets of content while we're trying to decide. We can see which one we think is the best. So the one on the left, top L&D trends and strategic focus. The one on the right, AI and the future of work. The one on the left numbers them. So AI integration and personalized learning. See, is there anything similar to that over on the right side? Is what it's how I kind of do these comparisons when they give them to me. Predictive analytics. L&D teams are leveraging AI to anticipate skill gaps before they impact business performance. Moving from reactive to proactive reskilling. Automated content. And then on the right side, you've got the AI training is mandatory, the AI skills gap and knowledge transfer. We talked automated content creation. We talked a little bit about that yesterday because of that question I posted on LinkedIn. And then number 2 on the left is immersive and action experiences. So there's a major shift towards learning that prioritizes doing over just knowing. Yes. But again, I would argue is that major shift driven by the business, or is it driven by the L&D industry? Like the needs. I don't think businesses' needs have changed much. Like when you manufacture something. If it takes humans to run a machine, it's humans needing to run a machine, and nothing about that has changed. And so we've always, at least we should have been all about doing. So this is where that ever-present question comes in also. Are we talking about soft skills? Are we talking about something like manufacturing where there is a doing component? Or are we talking about software training? There's just so many different types of business environments and needs that we as professionals can apply our instructional design skills and knowledge and the science of learning and all that kind of stuff. We can apply it to so many different places that I think sometimes when we're generalizing about the work that we do, that kind of gets forgotten or left out of the conversation. So anyways, I'm all over the place this morning. I apologize. Continuous learning as job security. What's strategy and development focus, immersive. So which ones do you guys like best so far? The one on the left or the one on the right as far as content and design? We don't have Craig here this morning. I miss Craig too. Thank you, Wendy, for dropping in today, and Nick Ball as well. Fun fact, Brent, I have a ham radio license extra. Oh, that is awesome. I've always wanted to get my ham radio license.
What's gotten in the way of doing it?
You know, time and need, I think. It's one of those things. It's just, I think it'd be a fun to have. You know, that's, yeah, it's just, and, you know, taking a class from somebody costs a few $100, and even if it's an online class. And then you got to take the test and all that kind of stuff. So
I think there's a challenge that we run into, especially when we're talking about some of the stuff that's in here on the skill side, where it's like, you know what, it would be nice to have that. I like the idea of having that thing, but the idea of having that thing doesn't necessarily isn't weighed higher than all the other things you have, or all the other things that are out there, or the pain associated with getting to that thing, whatever that piece is. And I watched Spider-Man 2 the other day, and all these days start to blur with Dr. Connors says to Parker, when Peter's he was giving him a hard time about not being in school or being in class. He's like, I want to be there. And he goes, "There, be there." And you know, planning is not a course or a program in the school. So anyhow, I think I find those things just kind of jump up, especially when people say, "Hey, I've wanted to, or I'd love to get that license." And then you kind of, if you hack, and not to turn this into a therapy session, but it's the thing that came up specifically around skill type stuff. So you're welcome, Brent. But and thank you, Wendy. But there's the thing where now that just kind of sits in the back of your mind, and now you start to feel like, oh, you know what, that's something I'm missing. Are you missing it, or are you not? When can you go? Where do you put it? All of that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's a squirrel opportunity.
Well, I appreciate the short psychological session, but so we've got one vote for the left layout.
Good.
What do you think, Mike? You haven't given.
I say the eyes have it. Let's do the left layout.
I desperately wanted to overthink the hell out of it, but you know what? I just clicked the button and we're just going to move on.
There you go. Click the button, take action.
Because at the end of the day, it's all content. Now, so I would like to throw out too, while we have a couple people in the chat, we've been doing this now for a few weeks. Obviously, I mean, I know you both haven't been here for, you know, every single one. And oh, hey, Craig. You know, we've been doing this little news episode, working through Gemini and asking it to tell us what's new today. Have you noticed anything different? Do you guys do it on your end to see if you get a different response? I mean, it's great for us because it gives us a massive amount of conversational fodder. But I don't know. I'd love to hear from you guys. But anyways, so a couple things that stood out to me real quick. AI integration and personalized learning wasn't personalization at scale, dominant force, shifting only from function as a strategic partner. Yeah, so we've been wanting to be a strategic partner and not an order taker for a super long time. So long, in fact, people have written books about it, and many articles, many presentations. Yeah, I'm sure everybody's read about it. This actually comes. Oh, this comes from Harvard Business. So, personalization at scale. So that's like the new generation of where we're at today. So one comment I can make on that one is that that seems to be what everybody's calling the current stage of our industry and kind of where we're at. I've been every time I've done a historical perspective, so to speak, it's broken up into basically 3 clusters, and we're in the 4th cluster. So in theory, you could call this L&D 4.0 is personalization at scale, is where we're at. So L&D teams are leveraging AI to anticipate skill gaps before they impact business performance. So the predictive analytics. Yep, we've been wanting to do that for a very long time. AI gives us the opportunity to do that. Automated content creation, we're seeing that. We just saw it at Devlin. These 3 bullet points actually are really good, I think. It's really, those 3 really do a good job at describing, I think, this point in the history of where L&D is at and what we're doing. But I will go past that and just let you guys ruminate on that a little bit. Well, hello, David Juno. Just stumbled in. Well, you know, we sometimes like to say this is like everybody's favorite bar. If you just happen to be walking down the LinkedIn street and, you know, you see the light on, a couple people sitting at the bar, you go in and say hi. So hello there. I mean, Mike, do you want to answer the "Where's Mike" game?
Take some guesses. Oh, I know it's going to be a little bit slow here, but you can take some guesses. I am in the state of Arizona. Leave it at that, and then I'll just kind of lay out a couple of clues as we go through. On this, I think the personalization at scale is a super interesting one. It takes me back to the whole choose your.
Oh yeah.
And the thinking there, at least for me, is that's kind of personalization at scale, in that you're not told, you don't have to go through door 1 and follow along with the way that traditional fictional book might have. You get to choices, and you get to build out your own story, and then you get to kind of go backward. And I think that's you get into it with branching scenarios, and then the question of, do those branches kind of come back to each other? So now we've got the technology that's being able to deliver that thing, and it's not only at scale from a volume perspective, it's at scale from a perspective, and at so I think it's just an interesting way to start to look at how does someone make it a decision on which path they would go to that's best them, given the objective that they're trying to accomplish. Do they listen to a podcast created by Notebook LM, as an example, to consume information like we had talked about before? Or do they go and watch a video, or do they take that same video, and drop it into a tool like Opus Clips, have Opus Clips AI go in there and grab the key points that that it thinks you might be interested in, not knowing really around behind who you are or what you are, or do you go and you read the article,
Well,
or
so let me interrupt with our lag here. So I think there's the two sides of it, right? There is what you're talking about, where each of us has autonomy to figure out what our goal is and what we want to do and what it is that we want to achieve, and we can make choices based on what's presented to us. But the way I read what we're seeing here, this personalization at scale, and the way my mind thinks about it, from how we can build things, or how this is just coming to be, whether we like it or not, is one, all of the HR data knows who you are. All of the HR data, if they've given you, which every company is doing these days, gives you a personality profile test. So they've profiled you, and with that profile, they feel like they know the type of person you are, which type of decision you're going to make, how you're going to make it, how fast you're going to make it, and what's going to happen. And so then you've got your job role, and the role that you're in has a list of responsibilities there, and there are a bunch of skills and competencies required in order to most effectively do that job. So there's all that data and all that information about who you are as a human. There's all the data about what the job is that you've signed up for to do, and all of the competencies and skills required to do that job. Now, once you start doing that job, the system's collecting analytics, it's collecting data. This is the predictive analytics part. It's watching you do the job, it's seeing you perform, it's seeing you do things, and it's noticing where you're falling short, or where anything that you've done wrong. And so it will automatically, so this is the personalization and the automated content creation, it will automatically see who you are, the job you should be doing, what good looks like, and how you're performing, and takes those three things together and will build a quick learning module based on all of the existing content, and generate it and present it to you and say, hey, it looks like you could use some help doing XYZ. Stop for a minute and watch this quick video. Read this quick thing, or here's a collection of things that could help you improve what you're doing by X%. And then why don't you give it a try? We've all had AIs talk back to us like that. So that's the kind of thing that I see from our world, the perspective of our world, which I think is a little bit different than where you're going with it.
how is it different?
Well, kind of like I said, it sounded to me like the way you were explaining it was, it's like you're an autonomous person, and you even mentioned that it doesn't really know who you are, but it does know who you are. And you get to make choices in the way that I'm seeing it, and the way that I'm predicting it's going to be applied. I think at the end of the day, really the only choice you end up having is maybe which one of the types of media you're going to select to consume that new knowledge, or experience, or practice that new skill. But I think it sounded to me like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounded to me more like it's like me wanting to be a ham radio operator. Okay, so I have a whole bunch of decisions now that I have to make, and I can go ask AI, and it can teach me a lot of things. I have a goal. I can define a bunch of things. There are a bunch of competencies and a bunch of skills that have already been predefined, so that's already there. And as I start to learn and start to consume knowledge, maybe if I'm using a tool like AI, maybe it's learning how it sees how I'm doing, and it can test me against that baseline of skills, and then it can give me new content to guide me in the right direction. So I don't think I think that's going to exist as well. I'm not saying it's wrong, by the way, or anything like that. I'm just, it's two different approaches to how we're going to be using an AI and how AI is going to be implemented, I think.
Yeah. So I think just to add a little bit of clarity in or what I was working to convey is that at different points in time, the technology is going to support multiple paths. The path that he's either chosen or designed for you, or the path that you get to choose, you get to hold on your own, or the path that's a combination of both of those. And this is the beauty of enablement technology. So emerging technology enables humans to do better human things. Is one of those things that will help you achieve the objective better and faster than you might have been able to achieve it if you were left on your own. Back in the day, if you wanted to learn how to use Excel, you had to go and buy a VHS tape and get that VHS tape sent to you, or you had to go into the classroom and go through that curriculum. Today, you can, even just using something like Notebook LM as an example, you can interact with the content and ask questions. And we're just in stages of this. So the question is, how do you bring together, how do you merge the combination of instructional design, um, uh, understanding the science behind things, and the experience that the person on the other end gets, so that the person gets the thing at the time to perform at the level that they need to perform with as little, be careful about using this word because friction is very important in the learning process, but as little friction as necessary in order to achieve the outcome so that people are able to move forward. And there's some really cool conversation that's going on in the chat here like that. I've been dropping I've been dropping them in as I see them in the notes. So Brent, it might make sense for you to take a look and just kind of scroll back through pop up both from Wendy, Craig, and David as we've been going.
Yeah, I have been doing that while you were chatting, and trying to keep one ear on you and one eye on the on the chat. As a good host will learn how to do, but I failed miserably at it because I'm still only on call number 2.
Well, this is and as Brent talked about, I'm traveling. The other clue that I will drop for you is at one point in time, the place I'm in was a capital. So there's going to be this interaction that we go through, and the lag. I mean, imagine I'm trying to do adapt personalized learning at scale, and I'm dealing with lag. How frustrating would that be? The cool part about the technology is the technology reduces the lag. So this is why I get so like up on my soapbox on let's build critical leadership skills like problem solving, decision making, goal and execution, design, communication. Right now for a little bit, but get those in there so that we're enabling and empowering people to make those decisions and not be limited by someone saying, okay, at this point in time, you've got to check into the class. And then at this time, we're going to have a break. And during that break, everybody, here's where the restrooms are. And then make sure in this time because we need to get going. And oh no, 3 out of the 30 people who didn't read the pre-work. So they're asking questions that were all in the document before it got there. Like this is some of the cool stuff that I think is happening with the G is you've got to look at her. If you're falling behind, look in the mirror.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah, I agree. And good, excellent conversation in the chat. My first thought when I saw everybody writing was, oh wow, if only we were in a platform where we could say, hey, do you want to jump in on video and have this conversation with us?
Right. We could
Soon, folks, soon. But we will
soon.
we will earmark this conversation, and I think this is one we should absolutely continue. I really do.
Look at just like the learning style discussion, whenever it comes up, and I know it drives Craig nuts. The one that drives me nuts is when people throw out, like Craig just did, all the acronyms around the data of things. Because I thought the LMS, LRS, SCORM, AICC type stuff. It's just good to see it in there.
Yeah. Sometimes people's comments. Sometimes they. I think what everybody's trying to project or present in the chat can kind of get lost in translation in the text. So it would be really cool to have this as a full-blown conversation. So we will earmark this, folks, and maybe we will schedule a specific special episode where we figure out a way to get everybody in here. And I mentioned earlier, I'm really interested in testing out Google's new multi-person version of Google Meet. So maybe we can do something in there. I don't know. I will think it through. But I do want to point out one thing that David pointed out. He mentioned my favorite word, simulations, and of which I am a big fan. And that did show up here to a certain extent in number 2 of today's news category. I think David jumped in a little bit late, so he missed our randomly grabbing of the day's news in L&D using Gemini. But anyway, so they mentioned immersive and action first experiences. There is a major shift toward learning that prioritizes doing over just knowing, making training more engaging and impactful. Which it has been. If it's a thing, if it's a shift that's been occurring, it's been occurring since the 90s, okay, and probably before then. It just takes a while for the technology to catch up to give us the ability to do these things at scale, which we now have. So. And the 2 bullets I did like here because they do really apply the virtual and augmented reality and the learning in the flow of work. I will say one thing that I'm talking with folks about, really, really smart people that do build this kind of stuff, is building and talking about digital twins. So being able to create an exact digital replica of your business or your business processes, and that can be a digital twin just in the data and information sense, but it can also be a digital twin in the visual sense as well, where all of that data is connected to the visual interactive 3D digital twin. So there's a lot of work going on in that, and it's cheaper than ever to do, and the value is beyond awesome from a learning perspective. So that will be coming better, faster, cheaper as soon as everybody figures out this basic AI thing.
What's the theme that you're noticing?
You mean in overall every day that we've done this with the news?
Yeah.
I think the most obvious thing, if we were to get really high level and esoteric, it's just change. That things are, all of this technology is at a point now where we've reached critical mass for, it's coming, and there's no stopping the train. There's no putting the genie back in the bottle, however many metaphors you want to use. I used the train one because Craig brought up trains. So, Yeah, no, this bullet train is at top speed going down the same old tracks. If there ever was a good analogy, quick, let's go into Nano Banana and get an image of that. Because I think it's very fitting. And yeah, I think every single day that's change, doing things differently has been a huge theme. Is that what you picked up on?
Yeah, it's
Over?
well, part of it's my own bias
Sure.
too. So I like seeing things that I believe. It feels good to have my thoughts and my ideas and my perspective reinforced.
Yeah.
So upskilling and reskilling, align with the business, driving business
Data-driven decisions.
data-driven,
Yeah,
like all of that kind of stuff. Like this.
Mhm.
These are the things that we see popping up. And I think the got rattling around in my head on this is okay. So we've identified some what's that can be put into some broader buckets. There's ways that you kind of organize skills, and there's ways that you kind of figure out whether or not you assess whether things work or aren't working. So people have got to do the work. So you've got to know what the work is. You've got to go out there and do the work. You got to assess it, and then when you assess it, you got to decide. We need to help people get better at doing it so that we improve there, or do we eliminate it because it just isn't making an impact on the business, or whatever those things are. So we've got these broad things that are kind of out there. Well, then how do we move and say, okay, here's the specific area that we focus the technology and the attention toward right now? Like now we move into, and this is part of the role reflective model. So what is it? Definition. So what? Why is it? Now what are we actually going to do with it? And is to go through, I think the next, I think one of the things that for us to go through is like, now what in specific use cases. So my anti-learning and development, anti-training topic is AB 1825. University of Michigan head coach lost his job yesterday, and then you can go into the background on what's happening and all over the place related to this, and things that were made and all of that other kind of stuff. But compliance, like AB 25, when that came out and everybody had to go through the anti-harassment training, you had to, or lockout, tag out procedures from a safety perspective at UPS back in the day. One of the things that we do, and maybe it's like a topic Thursday, we go really deep into the world is your oyster. Now you get to world build. How would you world build the perfect scenario, the perfect experience to help someone A to point B in this specific topic? And it could be, I would just throw out some of the word over the course of the last bit. The cybersecurity, the health and safety, like what communication, leadership, decision making, those kind of things. Maybe we go. So it says that Wendy's catching every other word. I'm going to stop talking then because of my lag. Because, but it sounds like it's gotten worse. So Brent, on to you.
No, and yeah, I think it's probably good that we just wrap it up today. Anyways, I wanted to cut today short, but I did just want to throw out just one last thing. Wendy mentioned I don't know which one I saw. Create for entrepreneurs, but scale for corporate costs and fortune. Maybe that was the one. Something triggered something in my head. But anyways, we should wrap it up. You guys, I'm doing a workshop next Thursday. If you're interested in joining me, let me know. I put a post out. I'll be putting a post out every day But just hit me up in the DMs and let me know. I'll also talk to you guys. I'll try to reach out to you all and see if we can work out some way to get together and have a deeper conversation about this, where this conversation went, because this is a great conversation. Mike is right. So where can people find you, Mike?
You can find your catalyst at findmycatalyst.com.
And I'll repeat that just in case everybody got every other word. You can find your catalyst at findmycatalyst.com. And you can also check him out on LinkedIn. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging with us.